I call this meeting to order. The time is 5:30. So we're going to move to item 102, roll call. Can our recording secretary please call roll?
Lisa Loader,
Here.
Victor Sherbandi,
Here.
Colleen Cook, Bonnie Gaskin, Jeremy Ivy,
Here.
Edwin Lingar,
Here.
Scott Benton,
Here.
Christiana Frank, Frank Perez, Ashley Van Brocklin.
Here. Item 2.01, action to approve the minutes. Do we have any public comment?
We do not.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion of the item? And all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed, nay.
Aye.
Oh, sorry. All those opposed, nay. Thank you. Motion passes in favor of A. For item 2.02, I'm going to turn this over to Sam for a presentation.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so item 2.02, previous semifinalists. So since many of you are new to the committee, I'll just kind of give a little background on this. The policy is that any name that has made it to the finalist list that goes to the board and is ultimately not chosen then gets added to this ongoing semifinalist list. So these names will automatically roll over and be included in the semifinalist list that you all include tonight. The reason we have this as an action item at every board meeting is so that you all can vote whether or not to keep all these names on the list or if there's any that you want to take off. I think the reasoning behind this was because some of these are geographic names you'll see that were finalists for schools in those geographic regions, may or may not be applicable to current schools. So that's kind of the background on this item. So does anybody have any questions on that?
If I may, Chair. Sam, so can we remove them from the list for this school specifically, but they stay on the list for further schools?
Correct.
Okay.
And then each time you're considering a school, this agenda item will appear and you'll have the opportunity to approve all the names or take some off or whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Okay, if there's no more questions, we can start a motion to pass.
Well, before
Can we do
we
that?
before that, can I ask some more questions?
Oh,
Just
sure.
Yeah.
for some of these names, I know there was some family involvement of them wanting and not wanting names to go forward. And having sat in the seat for a minute, I want to bring up Ann Carlson and see if we've had contact with the family to see if they're ready for her name to go forward.
We have not had contact with her, but I believe that her name was actually nominated again this time.
Okay.
So I think that's an indicator that someone out there wants her name on the list.
Okay. And I think that, I see family here from Buck Wheeler's family because they've been here several times, so I assume they're ready for that name to be moved forward as well. And then Michael Lansbury was nominated again. Okay, I think that answers my questions.
Okay.
Okay, if there's no other questions, can I have a motion to pass that these move forward. Oh, sorry, okay.
Is it,
Yes, do we have
is
any
this an
public comment?
appropriate time? Sorry, I have a delay. And I just want to say, is this an appropriate time, since we're asking questions, to make a motion to remove the geographic? 'Cause I see 3 geographic names on here that I don't think are relevant: Arrow Creek, Sun Valley, and White Lake.
So we're taking the public comment and then we're going to discuss on the committee and consider all the public comments. And then we will ask for a motion after that. Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you.
So we have a public comment for Bill Henderson.
Good evening, Bill Henderson. I'm here on behalf of naming a Washoe County school for Sessions S. Buck Wheeler. Early in the 1900s, Lithia and Lister Wheeler left the Society of Baltimore and homesteaded in Fernley in what is now Farm District Road. In 1911, Sessions was born. His is the last Nevada birth certificate to list Hazen as his place of birth. In 1915, the family, which now included Sister Virginia, moved to Reno, where Buck attended Reno Grammar Schools, graduated from Reno High School, and received a Bachelor of Science degree in 1934 and a Master of Science degree in 1935, both from UNR. He is married to Nevada Hazel Petroleum, April of 1948. They had no children. Nevada died in 1996, and Sessions passed away 2 years later. Sessions' love of Nevada desert and countryside developed early and was further enhanced by his experience as a young man working for a survey crew and a fire spotter for the U.S. Forest Service, which he credits for financing his education. He was a very avid fisherman and sportsman. For 34 years, he taught biology at Reno High School and summer classes in conservation at UNR. His only break from teaching came when he was appointed to become the first executive director of the newly formed Nevada Fish and Game Commission from 1947 to 1950. He received Conversation of the Year Award, Outstanding Biology Teacher Award, and the Distinguished Nevadan Award from the University of Nevada in 1963. A writer of all things Nevadan, his books span from a historical novel, Paiute, to textbooks on the Nevada desert and Pyramid Lake. Also autobiographies of the Bliss family of Lake Tahoe and Major Max Fleischman. He's a member of the Nevada Writer Hall of Fame. His name hangs just up the way at UNR with that of Robert Laxalt, Mark Twain, and so many other notables. While a young man, Buck was playing golf at Glenbrook. Of course, you play twice to get to your 18 holes. He and his group started to play through when they were stopped by a gentleman. That gentleman explained that playing before him was an infraction of the rules of golf. Buck apologized and offered to take the gentleman to his secret fishing spot high in the Sierras the next day. This began the lifelong friendship between Major Max Fleischman of the Fleischman Yeast Company and Buck Wheeler. Upon the Major's death in 1951, the Max C. Fleischman Foundation was formed with Sessions Wheeler as the sole sportsman trustee. Over the 30-year lifespan of the foundation, $192 million was donated to Nevada and California education, conservation, museums, and youth. The Nevada State Museum, much of the UNR campus, Camp Fleischman, and Sky Tavern are examples of the recipients of that foundation's work. My family and I don't ask for a school to be named to honor him. He received many honors in his life. I asked that the school be named so that he can continue his real-life work, teaching, inspiring children about Nevada. This was his home. His love for the Nevada outdoors, its adventures, its resources, its way of life spans generations and needs to continue. Sessions Buck Wheeler was my uncle. I serve as the executive director of Sky Tavern. The biggest reason I accepted this position and worked so hard at maintaining this Nevada tradition is to live up to what he expected, his family to take care of part of this state. Thank you.
Our 3-minute time is up, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there any other public comment at this time?
No.
Okay. Would anyone like to begin a discussion about the names that are presented here, maybe the geographical inappropriateness to remove them, or any other discussion?
I'm definitely in agreement to remove the geographical names.
Is there any other discussion among the committee? Okay. Is there anyone that would like to start a motion to remove the inappropriate geographical names?
This is Ed online. I move that we remove the geographical place names from this list.
Oh, could you please say the names that you'd like to be removed for the geographical?
Yes, I would like to move that we remove Arrow Creek, Sun Valley, and White Lake from our names under consideration.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
And all those in favor, nay? Motion passes.
That's it. Next, yeah, we can move on to 2.03.
Excuse me a second. Sam, do you want a motion moving forward the other names then, or is that just by the fact that those three were removed, the other ones just automatically move forward? Is that the reg? Do I recall that correctly?
I believe that's how it works. Yeah,
Okay.
as long, those three names are removed, so.
Okay.
Ann Carlson, Sessions S. Buckwheeler, Michael Lansbury, and Dolores Feemster will remain as semifinalists, so they will be on the semifinalist list.
Okay.
Okay, we are going to move on to item 2.03, discussion and possible action on community name submissions for the new elementary school in Southeast Reno. The committee members' individual rankings of those submissions, and the creation of a semifinalist list of not more than 10 names based on the individual rankings of the committee members to be considered at a future meeting for recommendation to the Board of Trustees.
Thank you. So just to give a little background, on January 6th, we opened up the survey asking the community for name nominations. So it was open for 2 weeks. It closed on January 20th. We did specific targeted outreach to Southeast Reno, as those students will be the ones ultimately zoned for this new school. But we also posted it on our Facebook page and our website, shared with the media. So pretty wide, far reach to get those name nominations. We received a total of 135 survey responses and 46 unique naming suggestions. And the goal today is for you all to narrow this list, which of the 46 unique naming selections, narrow it down to no more than 10 semifinalists. So you can do 10, you can do less than 10. And then you'll make that vote tonight, and I'll kind of talk you through sort of how we've done that process in the past to help guide that discussion. And then the semifinalist list, which will also include the previous names from the other slide that are automatically on the list, as you remember. So that will then go out to the community for another vote. And that survey will go out tomorrow, shared with the public. That'll be open for 2 weeks as well. And then when you meet at your next meeting, you'll be able to look at those votes, take public comment into consideration, and then make your final recommendation to the Board of Trustees of your top 3 names. So that's the process. So the list of the names, which hopefully you have all reviewed, is on the last page of your agenda. You'll see just the actual names, the unique names. And then the other sheet that I have printed out for you on big paper, hopefully so it's easier to read, is the text from the actual nominations. So this is what was sent in by the individuals who nominated these specific names. So you have that, and then of course all the letters of support that have come in over the past few weeks. So before we get into discussing these names, I did want to remind you all of the board policy that governs the school naming committee. As you recall, we talked about this at the last meeting. So one of the requirements to have your name be on the nomination list is that you can't have been employed at the district or been a trustee for the district within the last 2 years, whether your employment or your trusteeship was terminated by your choosing, or whether you passed away. Like if it's been less than 2 years, the board policy states that you're not eligible for a name. So I did run all of the names on this list who were or are employees. I ran them past our human resources department. So I'm just going to tell you the ones that I found that are not eligible as per board policy as we go through this list. You'll see Dr. Jennifer Sauls, about 10 or so from the top. So she was employed with the district as of 2021. Dr. Susan Frank was employed with the district within the last 2 years. Hayes Elementary, Ben Hayes was employed with the district within the last 2 years. Kurt Thigpen was a trustee, and it has not been 2 years since his trusteeship ended. And then Serena Robb, also on this list, was within the last 2 years, an employee of the district. One other name on here, Mount Rose Elementary School is already the name of an elementary school, and you'll see that on this list as well. So how we've done this in the past, in terms of discussing and narrowing it down, and of course you can take public comment first, but I don't know if you want to take public comment and then I can kind of go through the process for scoring, or I can go through this. If I go through the process for scoring before public comment, we might forget. So maybe we should do the public comment first and then we'll talk about it.
Do we have any public comment?
We do. First
you.
up is Hank Vanderbeek.
Good evening. My name is Hank Vanderbeek. I am a retired middle school principal of Mendive, and I had the pleasure of working with Jay Wood both as a teacher and as a vice principal. And I feel extremely fortunate to have had that experience. This is, I think, my 17th year of retirement, and I wasn't sure I could remember how to tie my tie. But for Jay Wood, I will wear it. My first meeting with Jay Wood was when we moved here. I was a substitute teacher and did probably 3/4 of my subbing at Dilworth. If you want to know what goes on in a school, talk to a substitute. They know and often aren't quiet about it. From that experience of subbing and quite a bit at Dilworth, I knew that's where I wanted to be, and I was fortunate enough to be hired. In fast forwarding to when I was an administrator and especially a principal, I would sit back and analyze what I had done and why I'd done it. At least 3/4 of the time, they would reflect back to Jay Wood. He was a leader, a quiet leader that people followed. He was wonderful in working with people, both school and community people. He established the programs around the needs of the kids in his district. We were the only middle school that taught reading to every single student in the building, and that was his own analysis of what the need was. a quick summary. He, whatever he did, it was not about him. It was about what the kids needed. He was a master of it's better to ask for forgiveness than it is permission. And I could give you a wealth of stories of that example. Also, and I came up with this saying myself this afternoon in preparing, he didn't like the word no. And if the word no came down, he found another way, another path to get to what his goal was. And because of that, people loved working for him, and Dilworth was a great place to be. Thank you.
John Raw.
Hello, committee members. My name's John Raw, and I nominated my father, Jay Wood. He worked for the district from 1952 to 1989, most of those years as principal of Dilworth Middle School. And most kids would think that he should have, the school should be named after their father, but I observed firsthand his deep loyalty to this community. He demonstrated this both through his commitment to the education at Dilworth and his 40 years of volunteerism at Sky Tavern Junior Ski Program. Dozens of former colleagues, students, parents have told me their Jay Wood stories, but I think this one will give you a little sense of his love for his students. When I was interviewing for a position at the Sparks Fire Department, a panel member, Captain Frank Rowe, asked me if I was related to Jay Wood. And I said, yes, sir, he's my father. And he then said, your father kicked me out of school. I thought the interview would be over right then. But then in his next breath, he said, your dad was a hell of a nice guy. Later, after I started working for the department, that same fireman told me that my dad had indeed kicked him out of school for fighting. But then when he didn't return after his suspension, he came to his house and asked his father why he wasn't back in school. My dad didn't believe in cracks, and he wasn't going to let a kid fall through one. He loved them all. I know my dad would be deeply honored and humbled for even being considered for a school name. Thank you.
Patricia Hernandez.
Hello. I taught in the Washington County School District from 1973 to 2004. And I was blessed to have my first position with Jay Wood Raw. Mr. Raw loved to hire brand new teachers out of college. And he liked our enthusiasm. He supported it. He always made us feel like we were competent and important. And most of all, I think what he passed on to me, and I think all of us who were in that same group of young teachers, is fun and joy. He looked at education as a joyful experience, and that a love of children included happiness and having fun with them. And that made him a hero to those little guys that didn't always fit in, that weren't really great students. He took the time with them. He arranged programs after school for them. He did above and beyond always. Always a smile, always encouragement. And when one of us would come excited with a new idea for a class or an after-school activity, it was never no. It was, okay, how can we do this? How can we get this done? He would sell ice cream in the hallway. He would do whatever it took to help us get to where we wanted to go. And I feel like we took that with us. You know, I had a lot of really nice principals, good people to work with, but that feeling of joy and excitement and the importance of education just stuck with me, and I think there are a whole lot of us out there that felt the same way. Thanks.
Bonnie Gallagher.
Thank you for this opportunity to allow me to express my extreme gratitude, like Patricia Hernandez said, for being able to teach under his principalship and to get to know him as a person, an amazing person who is a local, who devoted his entire life to making this a better community, a better place for young people, for old people. He was very instrumental in community education programs for adults. I was lucky enough to take a class from him in that arena as well. And just involvement with children in recreational aspects like the ski program. He did the whole 9 yards. As a principal for a teacher, you go into him. This is an example of one of the things that Mrs. Hernandez and I dealt with. Microwaves were a brand new thing. We had children coming into the classroom saying, we got a microwave for Christmas and we blew this up in it last night while our folks were gone. And they were telling us all these stories and we're going, we really need to be teaching them that. We were in the home economics department. We went to Mr. Raw and asked him if there was some way we could get permission to get a microwave in our classroom. Well, he would always try to help you direct yourself and help you find an answer to your problem. And he said, there's really no funding for that. Is there any way that you can think of that you might start being able to save up? And we started having bake sales and making cookie clay ornaments. Dr. Bruce Douglas from the university, his children were in our class, and 2 summers ago when he passed away, his wife was saying, we get those ornaments out every year and hang them and just think of you and that program. Well, we earned our money. It was $400 that it took to buy a microwave. And at that time, my husband and I were living on $400 a month. So that gives you an idea what that expense was. And we went into Mr. Raw. We got our money. Can we get our microwave? And he says, you know what? I was able to come up with half of this, so I'll match you. So he matched us half. We got the microwave. We were able to teach that class. We took the other half and we did another kind of innovative project with our classes and completely redecorated the entire home economics department. Thank you.
Gary Lucetti.
Put these on so I can read. My name is Gary Lucetti. I'm retired from the Washington County School District after 32 years. I was fortunate enough to teach science at Dilworth for 20 years. I'm proud to serve as vice principal at Sparks Middle School for 2 years, and I was privileged to help open Mendive Middle School, where I served as vice principal for 10 years until my retirement in 2004. As a selection committee, I assume you already had the opportunity to read the proposed Jaywood Elementary School campaign. It does a superior job of listing Mr. Raw's educational and community achievements, and there are so many. I won't even burden you with further reflection upon that campaign and that paperwork. Some personal insights. 1960, now not 1860. Mr. Raw was my woodshop teacher at Sparks Intermediate, which is now the Sparks Justice Court in Sparks at 15th and C Street. It's there where I learned many life skills and made a mahogany gun rack, as I still have today, hanging in my garage. We learned cooperative learning and safety around power tools. It was a life learning tool, and I think about Jaywood all the time when I get around tools. 1962, my class was the first class to graduate from the brand new school of George L. Dilworth Junior High School, where Mr. Raw was my vice principal. and a leading figure in education and a quality person who everybody liked and respected. I was going to sing the song to you, but it reflects a lot what Jay Wood had an influence, and I won't burden you with that, my voice. 1971, Mr. Raw hired me to teach science at Dilworth Middle School and encouraged me to coach boys and girls basketball, which I did for 20 years. Mr. Raw encouraged individual success and did everything he could to make our teaching experience the best and provide the best learning experience for our students, both academically and socially. One of the personal interests, I had a meeting with him, as Bonnie was saying earlier. I wanted to teach a bird awareness class, but I needed some other tools to teach the class, and talked to Jay Wood in a meeting, and he allowed me to, he bought me bird identification books and binoculars for my students to use on field trips, which was incredible. I've known Mr. Raw for a very long time and always an exemplary individual, compassionate, and an individual person. He did things for everybody, and an educational leader in our district. People wanted to teach at Dilworth. Nobody left. I'm blessed to have experience and mentoring with Jay Wood Raw. I'm sure the committee is aware of the technology advancements called Alexa. I got one for Christmas and found that Alexa knows everything from weather to everything else in the world. And I talked to her the other day, and she said to name the school after Mr. Jay Wood Raw. From the heart, Jay Wood Raw is very worthy of having a school named in his honor, and it is best choice for our school district. Thank you very much.
Scott Cunningham.
Yes, I'm going to speak for my father, Lionel Cunningham. My dad was an educator in Nevada for 44 years. He was in Eureka, Nevada for his first few years of teaching, and then moved to Washoe County. He taught in Washoe County from 1956 to 1993. He was in Eureka from 1949 to 49 to 56. He was a teacher for 11 years. He taught at Northside and I'm not sure what other elementary school it was prior to my being on this earth. He went to Rita Cannon as a brand new school in 1960 and taught there until he made a swap and went to Sun Valley Elementary, and he retired in 1993. He was 37 years in Washoe County School District and 33 years as an administrator in Washoe County. My dad was hired the first person of color teacher in the Washoe County, and he was instrumental in special education programs and year-round school programs. He was big on student teaching, and he was big on mentorship for principals. He taught at schools that were of lower income and lower echelon folks. I don't know what you guys call it, Title I or whatever. I'm not really sure what your terminology is. Anyway, my dad was very, very loved by the communities in which he taught. He would do things like buy bicycles for kids of needy people, single mothers and things of that nature. His love and his passion was educating. He was also a very big outdoorsman, but my dad, his number one love was education. And even sometimes more so than, his family even suffered from that sometimes, because that was just who and what he was all about. He was very big into public service. He was instrumental in developing the Reno Teachers Credit Union, and he was the president of the board of directors of that credit union for many, many years. He was a member of the National PTA and at one point the president of that organization. He was throughout his career a member of the Washoe County Teachers Association. He was a Toastmaster. He belonged to Reno Arts Lions Club and was their treasurer for 20-plus years. I've got all the specifics in the original application. Anyway, I feel that my dad, he also was involved in
Thank you for your
outreach to
comment.
prisoners.
Our 3 minutes are over,
Okay,
sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was limited.
That's okay. Thank you.
Deanna Raw.
Hello, thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of my father-in-law, Jaywood Raw. I met him a little over 40 years ago at Sky Tavern as a teenager, and eventually got the honor of marrying his son, which showed such good character, and I knew I picked a good man as I learned to know Jaywood. But what I want to share tonight is that I became a physical therapist and have been practicing in Reno for 34 years. And I can't tell you how many people, patients that and other healthcare professionals that would see my last name and ask me if I was related to Jaywood Raw. And I said, yeah, he's my wonderful, crazy father-in-law. And I would then hear so many stories. Being a physical therapist, we get to see our patients more than once, you know, but from teachers, how he was the best principal that they'd ever worked under, that they learned so much from, you know, and how honorable he was and of the highest integrity. And he would come up with such great innovative programs that were really new for the day, and that he would take his teachers night skiing up at Boreal. Right. And just really building that camaraderie. And then his students, how much they would remember him. And some of them had heartwarming stories of having difficulties and struggling in school. And instead of, you know, getting admonished or punished, he would bring them into his office and ask them, you know, what's going on? What's going on at home? What can I help you with? And so they just, I mean, Jaywood was a life-altering person in their world. And Dilworth wasn't known to be the highest income area. And he was just supportive. And he opened the gym for basketball on the weekends. And then he found that there were kids that wanted to do art, not sports. So let's do that for them. And then he also gave everybody a kick because he put on roller skates and a cape and decided he'd deliver his teachers' paychecks in the classroom, which just lit up everybody. So there's nobody more deserving, I believe, for Jaywood Raw School. Thanks.
We have no more public comment.
So this is how you all have done this in the past, and I think this is a pretty efficient way to narrow down the list. So typically, the first step is kind of, you know, discussing the names, going around the room, having each person sort of say which names they know they definitely want to keep on the list. Maybe that's one name, maybe that's 6 names. And one by one going through, and I will open up an Excel sheet and type as you guys are speaking, if I can get my mouse to work. And then maybe we'll have a list of, you know, 15, 20. That'll kind of naturally knock some names out, and you'll have a list to work with. And then from there, you know, of course, there's always room for discussion and questions. But then the way that we've scored these, if you look at the list that's on the last page of the agenda, the list of names, I've put the categories there: the role in education, impact, public service, historical significance, geographic significance, and contribution. So those, as you recall, are the categories in board policy that kind of guide which names are appropriate for schools. And so once we have this list that we've compiled here, I'll ask each of you to give a score to each of the names on the list, 1 through 5 in each of those categories. So let's say you give 5 points for every category, they're going to get an ultimate 30 points, right? Or you give them 1 point if it's low, and they'll have 6 points. We'll total those up. And I can explain this again as we go through, but total those up in this Excel sheet, and then you'll see, okay, that may naturally give you your list of not more than 10 semifinalists through that scoring. So that's how we've done it in the past. But I would say if you want to start with just some discussion or comments, and then I can start. We can go around and I can start typing in the name.
So Sam, names that are on this list, Ann Carlson and Michael Lansbury, we do not have to vote on today.
Correct.
To move
Those
forward.
will automatically be part of the semifinalist list.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And are those part of our 10, or we need to nominate 10?
You can
tonight?
nominate not more than 10, so you don't have to nominate 10.
But
You
are
might-
those numbers from the previous list, will that affect our?
No.
That's
So you
included
can
in the
nominate
10.
up to 10 names, and then the however many were on that list before, is it 5? Those
4,
will,
I believe it's 4.
those will be added in, so your final list then might be up to 14. Yeah.
Lisa, in addition to the 4 that we've already moved forward to be semifinalists, I can start us off if you want with nominating some others. I actually have 8 that I think I would like
All
to put
right.
forward.
Sure. Let's start typing them in.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I would like to start with, and these are in no particular order, but A. Lionel Cunningham, Damani Ranch, Desert Diamond, Jim.
Hold on, you might have to go a little slower.
You got it.
Okay.
Jim, is it Lutgis or Lutgies? Luttgges.
I see it. Yeah.
J. Wood Raw, Meadowview, Rio Wrangler, and Sierra Vista.
Okay, so then if you guys want to go around and add to this list, if there's any other names on here that you feel should be on the list that you'll ultimately score, or if people want to, comment or advocate for various names.
Hey, Sam, this is Frank. Am I able to jump in?
Oh, hey, yes. Did you just join?
No, I joined at about 5:36.
Oh, okay. Great.
Okay. So I have Michael Lansbury, and I know you said that he's going to move forward.
Yes.
I have Mr. Perry DiLoretto, Harry Reid.
Hang on. What was the first name you said? I'm looking for it on here so I can spell it correctly.
Perry DiLoretto. And again, I know we
I
said
see it.
Michael Lansbury's already going to be in there.
Yeah,
so-
so I'm not going to type Michael Lansbury in here because he's already going to be on the list. So you don't need to score him. Harry D.
Right.
Redo. And then Harry Reid.
Harry Reid.
Okay.
And then also J. Wood Raw, and then Mr. Cunningham. And I do appreciate those members of the public that came out today.
Great. Thank you, Frank.
Sam, I don't have any names to add to it, but I really want the people that are here, the people that have submitted comments and emails, to know that we appreciate them being a part of the process. It's very vital that they know their voice is being heard through this process, and I appreciate them taking time to reach out to us in whatever capacity they're able to.
I'd like to recommend South Meadows. That's the only one I want to add.
Okay.
I would like to add Steamboat because of the Steamboat Springs out there and the street.
Okay. Does anyone else want to add any names to this? Or discuss if there's names you feel particularly strong about. So before we go through and do the scoring, if people want to talk about certain names or have any comments or anything.
Sam, I can jump in just on a little bit. All the people that I selected, Harry Reid, Michael Lansbury, and obviously I've read these public comments that have been coming in on Mr. Jaywood Raw and Cunningham. You know, I'm really trying here to select people of service, and you know, to me that's really important. So I'm really hoping that we could name the school after, you know, someone who's putting great work in the community.
Thank you, Frank.
If there's no more discussion, are we ready to start scoring?
Sure.
I have one more thought. This is Ed Online here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Again. And that is, I don't know if everybody is familiar with every name. And since I'm here in front of a computer, when I saw one I didn't know, I was looking up, you know, obituary information from several. So I just want to throw that out there that I was not familiar with all of these people. Likewise, I saw the emails coming in and I saw, you know, people test. But again, before I vote on any names, what would help me, and I don't know if everybody else knows all of these people, but I just want to throw that out. I know more now because I was able to look some of these up and, you know, as we've gone on. Maybe I'm the only one who didn't know all these people.
No, I think that's a good statement. I mean, I think that's why the nomination form is so important because, you know, for like as staff, I'm not going to go in and give like a biography of someone, right? Because I'm not the one nominating them in this process. So it's really important to look at that huge Excel document that has the nominations, because then, you know, hopefully you're getting some information about what was this person's role in education, what was their impact and their public service and historical significance, et cetera. So that's where that document, I think, comes into place. So, yeah, I mean, if you all want to take a few minutes to kind of skim through that document before we go to the scoring process, that's fine. I mean,
and just speaking as one person on the committee, I truly use that document and the public comments as my guiding principles. I don't want to know what a jaded obituary might say. I want to know why the person was nominated and what contributions they have in education, impact, public service, historical significance. I don't want to be the one researching it. I want to know why they were nominated. And truly, I use the public comment to guide my decision-making process. If they truly were impactful to have a school named after them, they should have a true significance to have somebody nominate them with the information at my fingertips.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. This is Ed again. I would say respectfully, if I may respond to that, you know, 10 people showing up to a meeting and saying somebody's good, that's not enough for me. I do want the jaded obituary. I want information so that I feel the names have been vetted, right? Anybody can say anything in a nomination form. Not that they have, and, you know, some of these names I have heard of. But again, I don't necessarily think that's all the story. I mean, does anybody else agree? I mean, you know, I could get 10 people to come into a flash mob and say anything about anybody. So third party vetted information, obituaries, information. I think that's valuable as a full vetting for which name we pick. Again, because anybody can say anything, anybody can send any email. I think it's good to have the facts. That's just my thought.
Yeah, I agree. It's good to have facts, but I think it's also nice to do both. I kind of appreciate what you can find on the internet, and I appreciate I especially appreciate the application form, and most importantly, the time and dedication that people come to make the public comment, and the effort that obviously is put together by many of you for one person. And I think that makes probably the biggest statement of support is when you physically come down and speak, and that's my perspective. I think all of it's important, but I feel like coming down physically, and maybe that's a little bit different these days, where maybe some people don't feel safe to come down physically, but I feel like that's really important, and that says a lot. It's a strong statement, but I think all of it is something to consider.
I concur with that statement, and I would love to consider all aspects, the people making the nominations, the people who come in for sure, publicly available information about those people. Apologize. It's all that kind of stuff. So yes, I agree with you. Like everything that we know, everything that can be vetted, again, not Facebook posts or things like that, but publicly available information about people. It's very useful, very useful. I think we should consider that.
So do we just want to take one more moment and look through the application and gather our thoughts and come back to scoring?
Sure.
Okay.
Should we start the scoring process?
I think we're ready to start the scoring.
So, and you can take a few minutes to do that, but again, so for each one of these names then, give them a score 1 through 5 for each of the categories: role in education, impact, public service, blah, blah, blah. 1 will be the lowest, 5 will be the highest. And then we'll go around the room, and I just want you to give me the total number, so add those up. So again, if everybody gets a 5, then it's going to be 30. If everybody gets a 1, it'll be 6. And I will type those numbers in here. So I'll give you a few minutes to do your scoring.
And Sam, just to be clear, we have to, the lowest score is a 1.
Correct.
Okay.
I think we've tried zeros before and it just doesn't work, so I think 1.
And Madam Chair,
Yeah, you guys can't see the list, can you? Ed and Frank, can you see this Excel sheet?
no, I have the agenda pulled up.
But do you have the names that I typed into the Excel sheet?
No, you're right. I don't have that list.
Let me see.
Maybe if you put in the chat, I could see it.
I can actually see the 11 names, but that's all I have. And if we're doing the 11, I can
Okay.
rank
Is
those.
there a way to zoom it in? I don't think you guys can see it in the seats.
I could see it now.
Okay.
Sam.
Okay, good. Ed, the full list of names was on the agenda that when I sent out the meeting packet to all of you.
Understood.
Yeah.
Sam, can you zoom in on it a little bit? It looked
know how
like
to
some
zoom in,
people
but
were struggling to
I
see
can make
the
it
screen.
really big for a minute. How's that? Okay, are we done scoring? Okay, a few more minutes. That would be awesome. No, I mean, if you can give me then, if as we're calling, as you give me the scores, if you can, bonus points if you give them to me in this order. That would be awesome. If not, I'll figure it out, but just say, yeah. Do we want to start with those who are ready? You look ready, Victor. Okay, let's do. All right, give me the points.
Is that okay, Lisa?
Yes, thank you for starting.
All right. I gave 21 points to Lionel Cunningham,
Okay.
8 points to Damani Ranch, 18 points to Desert Diamond.
Okay.
And the next one is Jim. 18 points to Jim. Lucky's. Letches.
Thank
you. Jay Wood-Raw, I gave 24 points to. Meadowview, 10 points. Rio Wrangler, 8 points. Perry DiLoretto, I gave 14 points to. Harry Reid, 20 points. South Meadows, 10 points. And Steamboat, 15 points.
Thank you. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
Okay.
For Cunningham, I gave 22 points. Damani Ranch, I gave 20. Desert Diamond, I gave 20. Keys, I gave 15. Jaywood Raw, I gave 28. Meadowview, I gave 15. Rio Wrangler, I gave 16. Perry Di Loretto, I gave 13. Harry Reid, I gave 22. South Meadows, I gave 12. And Steamboat, I gave 14.
Okay.
Is there anyone else ready? Yeah? Okay.
Okay, Colleen. Cunningham, I gave 30. Should I follow this order, I guess, because I've made a lot of notes. Damani Ranch, 13. Desert Diamond, 5. Jim Lutke's 18. Jaywood Raw, 30. Meadowview, thank you very much, 5. Rio Wrangler, 15. Perry, 25. Harry Reid, I gave 20. South Meadows, 10. 10.
Okay. Are you ready, Jeremy?
I am ready.
Okay.
Lionel Cunningham, I gave 22. Damani Ranch, 14. Desert Diamond, 15. Jim is 21. Jaywood Raw, 23. Mountain View, 14. 7. Rio Wrangler, 17. Perry Di Loretto, 19. Harry Reid, 19. And South Meadows, 14. And Steamboat, 16. Everybody.
You ready, Ashley?
Yep. Okay. Cunningham, 27. Damani Ranch, 10. Desert Diamond, 8. Jim Lutke's 16. Jaywood Raw, 28. Meadowview, 9. Rio Wrangler, 10. Perry Di Loretto, 15. Harry Reid, 23. South Meadows, 10. And Steamboat, 10.
Lisa.
Okay, Lionel Cunningham, 20. DeMonte Ranch, 10. Desert Diamond, 9. Harry Reid, Jim Ludkus, okay.
Okay.
Jim Ludkus, 11. Jaywood Raw, 20. Meadowview, 10. Rio Wrangler, 10. Perry Di Loretto, 10. Harry Reid, 10. South Meadows, 10. And Steamboat, 10.
Ed, do you have your scores?
I do. I have them scored.
Okay, I'm ready for you.
Cunningham, 18. Damani Ranch, 20. Desert Diamond, 10. Mr. Lecky's 15. Jaywood Raw, 17. Meadowview, 17. Rio Wrangler, 10. Perry, 13. Harry Reid, 20. South Meadows, 20. Steamboat, 14.
Okay, and Frank, last but not least.
Absolutely. So Cunningham, 25. Damani Ranch, 11. Desert Diamond, 18. Jim Luggis, 15. Jaywood Raw, 25. Meadowview, 11. Rio Wrangler, 11. Mr. Delaretto, 25. Harry Reid, 30. South Meadows, 11. And Steamboat, 11.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to total them. And then let me sort them so you can see, because I think that's... Sort. There we go. Forgetting how to do things here. I want to sort by... Should be, I don't know if that, I want to sort by numbers. That's not going to work. Yeah, why didn't that? Okay, sorry. It usually lets you sort by number. Sorry, guys. Oh, I see. Oh. Sorry. I'm getting there. We'll do largest so you can see who's on the top. There we go. Okay, so... So this is 11 names here, not more than 10. So you can choose to take the top 10 here if you want, or if you want to, you don't have to do 10. Again, you can always do less than 10, but I will leave it to you all now to discuss this.
And just to be clear, these names would join the 4 that we've already put forward to the semifinalist?
Correct.
I would propose that we take everything from Steamboat on up, from 100 points on up.
This is Frank. I would second that if that was a motion.
I don't think we're out of motion just yet, but, right?
We're still discussing?
Yeah, but...
This is Ed. You know, with how much we're trying to narrow it, I think it's not a bad idea to maybe drop the bottom 4 or 5. I think we can safely do, right? We're not going to pick Desert Diamond over our more higher scoring groups. So I say we flush a few that no one has any great love for. Desert Diamond, Steamboat, Rio Wrangler, South Meadows, and Meadowview.
I'd like to keep at least 2 locations there if possible, or a couple locations if possible.
You know what? I think that's smart. I can see the thinking in that. Damani Ranch and Desert Diamond are a couple of good choices that seem to have risen to the top. Okay, with that logic, I could see us keeping Steamboat too, but definitely I'm with you on dropping the last 3 at least, and maybe even Steamboat. Your call. I mean, we can discuss it.
So I think, I'm not sure, I think Mr. Shabandi did have a motion, but maybe not, but it was seconded. So we need to clear the record on that first. If it is a motion, it was a motion regarding process. I believe his motion would have been anybody with 100 plus would move forward, if I understand correctly. And so, you know, if he's laid that motion out there by the rules of parliamentary procedure, you have to entertain it. So we need to clear that up.
Just for the record, it was not an official motion. I just proposed, and I think Frank liked the idea or the concept around that. I could certainly frame it in a formal motion.
No one's obligated to, but I just wanted to make sure that we have a tight record.
Right.
So it sounds like we're still in discussion mode. Does anybody else have any comments on the committee?
Yes, I do. I would recommend going even clear to South Meadows. I think the more options, I mean, if you look through the list of the community that they sent us, we have 46 names. So I think giving people options to vote on and to voice their opinion, I think more, you know, we can take our 10 and add the 4 that we had before and give them 14 names. I think that's not unreasonable.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think if we're able to put 10 forward, that we should put 10 forward.
Well, what I see is there's a clear break between the top 3 names of people. There is not a clear break between geographical locations. They're all within a good 15. The names moving forward from former semifinalists are names of people. So if I take that into consideration and we move forward just the top 100 points and higher, all of them are names in 2 geographical locations, or 3 geographical locations. Seeing what was submitted by the community, they want a geographical location. So I would feel more comfortable taking 3 names and 3 geographical locations from this list and submitting those, along with the 4 names that are already semifinalists.
So I just want to make sure that I understand. So if we decide on 10 of these, it will go with the other 4 that are semi. So we could possibly send through 14. Is that right?
Yes, because
Okay.
the other 4 are already on the list,
Okay.
right? So those 4, they're going to be out there for a vote. So yeah,
Okay.
you just can't choose more than 10. So right now you have 11 here. So
at the minimum, we have to eliminate 1
right
today. Okay.
And you can eliminate more if you want. It's up to the committee, but yeah,
Okay.
just no more than 10.
Mhm. If there's no more discussion,
Well, you know, just one more thing, and that is, you know, hearing everybody's conversation, you know, my own thinking has evolved, right? If we want to give people options, and if this is our preliminary list, I see no harm in going up to 10 down to South Meadows. It seems clear from the scoring that the least favorite geographic location among all of us was Meadowview, which is, you know, so it's very easy. So I sort of think there's probably a smart money to give everybody a chance to maybe just drop off Meadowview and forward our 10. That would be my proposal. I'm not making a motion. That's just kind of where I'm at, given everybody's concerns here. I think that seems a reasonable way to go.
okay. Is there any more discussion?
No, Madam Chair, if you're ready for a
Okay.
motion, I'll make one.
Yeah, we're looking for a motion. What is the pleasure of the committee?
I motion that we move the names forward and exclude Meadowview from the list of names moving forward from the list that we have in front of us.
I second that.
All in favor of taking off Meadowview from the list of our top 10? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Right. Thank you. So this will go out in vote form tomorrow. So it'll be on our website. It will be on our Facebook page. So the public will be able to access and vote. Thank you, guys.
Do we have any general public comment at this time?
No, we don't.
Thank you. We move to item number 3.02, announcement of next meeting, Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022. At this time, I'm going to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.